Hi, welcome to Journey to the Goddess TV. My name is Annalisa and I'm your hostess, regenerating ancient feminine wisdom for modern women. Today we're going to take a journey to the ancient world of Greece and the temples at Delphi. Most people know that the patron god of Delphi was Apollo, but did you know that some scholars believe that this sacred site actually once belonged to Gaia? In today's episode, we will dip our toes into the complex history of Delphi and dive into the sacred feminine mysteries that lie below the surface. I will also end this episode with a performance that I created called the Oracle Re-members Gaia. And I wrote this and I performed this at Delphi near the temples back in 2019. If you'd rather just see the performance and skip straight ahead to that, I will leave the timestamp in the YouTube text box below. Also, I want to note that I have a ton of references in this video, and so I will leave those in the YouTube text box as well underneath a section called Reference toward the bottom. Also, before we begin, if you like this video, then please like it, please subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. I love commentary, that's fun. And also, if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways and becoming a member, I encourage you to head on over to my Patreon page where you can learn all about membership, what you get as a member, how it supports me and my work to the journey to the goddess. The temples at Delphi are located on the southwestern slope of Mount Parnassus, about a 2-hour drive from Athens. For ancient Greeks, Delphi was considered the center of the world and was marked by a special stone called the omphalos, meaning navel. So Delphi was the navel of the world. Since around the 7th or 8th century BCE, the site has been dedicated to Apollo, the god of oracles and prophecy, music and song, poetry, sun and light, archery, healing, and plagues and disease. Well, I guess we should be calling on Apollo about now. The second temple complex at the site is dedicated to Athena, goddess of wisdom and war. She is also the protectress deity of Athens. Both Apollo and Athena are the children of the supreme being of the Olympic pantheon, Zeus. All three gods embody the principles of cultivated civilization, law and order, and reason. Prophecy was an integral aspect of Greek cultic and cultural life, and intriguingly, was more or less considered a role for women. That means that even though ancient Greek society was patriarchal, women held some semblance of power and prestige in the religious sphere as prophets or prophetesses and priestesses. The priestesses at Delphi are commonly known as the Oracle of Delphi or the Pythia. At Delphi, there was a deep crevice in the ground that some scholars and archaeologists believe once spewed gaseous fumes. It is believed that the Pythia was seated over this crevice on a sacred tripod. She would then breathe in these fumes and go into some kind of trance. The male priests of Apollo would then translate her words and give the message to the person seeking advice from the oracle. People from across social classes would seek her advice on things from military pursuits and state affairs to agricultural concerns. It was understood that she was the conduit for the gods' advice. There are plenty of clues and indications that Gaia was the first patron, or again, matron, of the sacred site at Delphi. Let's look at a few of the linguistic clues. Delphi comes from the same root as the word womb. Womb is an obvious metaphoric image related to Earth and her subterranean womb. The origin of the oracle's name Pythia is also another clue that the site was sacred to Gaia. Pythia comes from Pytho, the original name at Delphi. Pythia, or Pytho, is also the name of the mythical female dragon or serpent that was sacred to Gaia and that guarded her sacred spring and that was killed by Apollo during his conquest of Gaia's cult. In the Homeric hymn to Apollo, it tells us that when Apollo arrived at Delphi, he slew Gaia's Python, who had been guarding the sacred Castilian spring, and took over the site for himself. It is not a peaceful story. On the contrary, it is quite violent. Though some scholars note that there are accounts of a more peaceful transfer of power between Apollo and Gaia at Delphi. Now, according to the legend, goddess scholar Christine Downing notes that Gaia was not going to relinquish her power so easily. The night before travelers were to consult Apollo's oracle, it is said that Gaia would come to them in their dreams and give them the answers to the questions that they were seeking. Now, this upset Apollo because it delegitimized his power and his authority as primo god of the land. So he ran over to Daddy Zeus and he demanded that Zeus tell Gaia to quit it. To appease Apollo, Zeus approached Gaia, his grandmother, and asked her to stop. But as Downing notes, and I can concur from my personal experience at Delphi, that the presence of Gaia is so strong at Delphi that it's questionable whether she actually did stop. Unlike Apollo in his association with cultivated civilization, law and order, and reason, Gaia is an earth deity. She represents the indwelling and the embodied aspects of the human experience. She is the actualization of those embodied wild and chaotic forces that humans have feared for millennia, if not forever. Yet, archetypically, she is still the loving and the terrible mother. She is the womb and the tomb. As Chris Downing so beautifully explains, Gaia reminds us that the divine is transhuman and pre-human, there from the beginning, not simply human projection. Because of this, she is source, as no human-like mother can be. She is the answer to the deep longing for homecoming, which no mother and no lover as mother's surrogate can assuage. So the site at Delphi enhances these symbolic qualities. It is perched upon the side of a mountain and is surrounded by many caves and a sacred stream. Is it possible that the original cult at Delphi may have had something to do with honoring the mysteries of life and death? Christine Downing again notes that Delphi may have originally been a site for dream inculcation, overseen by Gaia. Now, why does this matter? Well, it matters to me for a few different reasons. First, the history here is so complex. Ancient Greek culture, though it gave the world many wonderful things, was in many respects hostile toward things and people it considered uncivilized. For example, women, generally speaking, were seen to be on some spectrum of wild, chaotic, and uncivilized, and thus justifying the need to tightly control them. But, like I said earlier, women in the religious sphere actually had some kind of authority and prestige. That said, is it possible that in the societies that predate ancient Greece, women had more rights and were held with more prestige? Gaia worship suggests their religion was at least in part earth-based, focused on chthonic deities that represent the powers within the earth. Like their pre-patriarchal ancestors from the Neolithic period, I wonder if it is possible that these peoples saw women's bodies as powerful conduits of the cycles of life and death, rather than as dangerous, evil, threatening, and sinful as our bodies commonly are under patriarchies. So I decided to create and perform a ritual theater piece to reclaim the Pythia oracle as Gaia's. A few notes on the symbolism before I play the video. I performed this near the temple sites at Delphi. Now, originally I had attempted to perform this in front of Athena's temple at Delphi, but I was kicked out. That's a behind-the-scenes story that you will have access to as a Patreon member at the $3 a month level. Next, I used a mixture of ancient and original texts. The opening line of this performance is from the Homeric hymn to Gaia, and the closing line, Know Thyself, is believed to have been inscribed somewhere at the Delphic temple. The word woman at the end is my addition. Next, the downward-facing triangle that I drew on my body is an ancient symbol for woman. I used a mixture of earth and my menstrual blood, which I used as a libation or offering to Gaia. I did this because I really wanted to get a sense of the embodied connection between Gaia and women and the cyclical powers that we have in common. For more information on blood symbolism, I go more in depth in my video, She is Risen, and I will leave a link to that in the YouTube text box below. Finally, you'll see some laurel in my hand. That was a plant sacred to Apollo. I kind of felt like I needed to pay homage to him too while I was there. Without further ado, my performance of the Oracle Re-members Gaia. Oh, Gaia, mother of all, eldest of all beings, milestim. Oh, Gaia, mistress of earth, whose sacred chthonic rites, the Delphic oracle, were usurped by the gods of reason, intellect, and order. Speak to me. Oh, Gaia, it is you whose sacred regenerative womb nurtures and loves all beings. And it is you, Gaia, who unconditionally takes us back into your sacred depths. Oh, Gaia, tell me. Speak to me. Let me remember your sacred feminine wisdoms. Gaia speaks. Know thyself, woman. Thanks everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and leave a comment. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao.